Holgjar's Folly. Watch Captain Holgjar Ironfang received reinforcements in the form of a Fortress kill team. Untrusting, even scornful of the untested Primaris battle brothers, Holgjar inflicted a series of ignominious duties upon them while reserving the more glorious missions for his Venator kill teams. Those were a kind of kill team that existed in 8th edition that was based around the Firstborn Marines. The Proteus kill team would be their 10th edition equivalent. So this watch captain didn't think that much of Primaris. Before we get into the end of the story, which is basically to not underestimate the newcomer and that all Space Marine players should really buy these new Primaris models, we need to look at the good reasons why the Primaris were not welcome in the Deathwatch. The Deathwatch Veterans are experts. They are veterans from their own chapter, they have their own tactics and knowledge, and they have come to the Deathwatch to learn more. If they survive, then they can go back to their own chapter having learnt a lot more information. To become an Imperial Fist officer, you need to have served with the Deathwatch. This is because they have a long-standing tradition of supporting the Deathwatch since the Deathwatch was created after the War of the Beast, in which the Imperial Fist chapter was basically wiped out, and then reformed from its successor chapters. So initially, the Primaris Space Marines were just spat out by Cawl, and they came with very little military experience. Just whatever they'd learned in the Torchbearer fleets on the way to join the Deathwatch. Sure, they have newer armor and tougher bodies with more organs, but it is experience that keeps you alive. So when the Primaris Marines arrived to the Deathwatch Watch Fortresses, much like how they arrived to all the other chapters, they almost proved their inferiority as a concept because of their higher casualty rates. So Deathwatch Veterans know how to use all of the weapons at their disposal. They know how much blast to put behind a melter gun shot, how to conserve ammunition in longer fights, how to fight alongside power swords and heavy weapons in a squad. Primaris Intercessors know one gun. They know how to use that gun, and they also know how to stick a knife in someone. And they only know how to fight in a squad with other members who are using that same gun. These are not the adaptable weapon experts you need for the Deathwatch. There is another story in the 8th edition codex for the Deathwatch when an orc warboss needed to be slain, but the Deathwatch could not spill so much blood, otherwise Khorne demons would be summoned. So they put down their bolters and their swords, and took up shields and mauls and the giant Deathwatch Thunderhammers, and they pulped their way through the orcs to slay the warboss. There were no Primaris Marines taking part in this battle. This happened before the Primaris Marines were revealed to the galaxy, but Primaris Marines would initially not have the knowledge of how to change weapons and adapt their tactics. But let's think about future training. When the Primaris Marines arrived for various chapters, they were thrown immediately into battle as a stopgap in the lines. This was done even with chapters like the Flesh Tearers that did not like the idea of Primaris Marines. At the end of the 41st millennium, the Flesh Tearers chapter was down to about 400 Marines, when they should be on 1,000. The additional Primaris Marines helped to keep them fighting as a chapter. But then there is the future issue. Do we keep trying to fill the hole left by the dying Primaris Marines? Do we throw our new recruits there, or do we take time to build them up as veterans, going through the Scout Company, the Devastator Company, through all the battle companies until they become veteran tactical Marines? The Deathwatch have even less support to adapt to the Primaris Marines arriving. At the end of the 41st millennium, the Deathwatch were calling out for aid from all the chapters, who in turn were requesting their veterans back to fight all the chaos madness of the Cicatrix Maledictum. The Deathwatch were given Primaris Marines, and they can now act as their own chapter with their own standing army. But this is a problem for the Deathwatch. They have no central base. They don't have their own scout sergeants and training facilities. So their own created Primaris Marines are not going to perform as well as other chapters that can take the time to train up their Marines. The Fortis kill team is not as good as the Proteus kill team. Eventually, the Primaris Marines that they got can become better. To end the story from the beginning, the Primaris Marines in the Watch Company grew in experience, and the Watch Captain learned the error of his ways when Kill Team Theranos, the Fortis kill team, went to the rescue of Holgjar and his overrun brothers during the Battle of Black Gulch, during which the Greenskin Swarms were held back by the Fortis kill team long enough for the Watch Company to withdraw. And in the wake of the catastrophe, Holgjar decided to undertake a voluntary penance for his errors, serving as a battle brother beneath the newly promoted Watch Captain Theranos of the Primaris Fortis kill team. Brackets. Buy our new models, signed Games Workshop. But if you want to know how to play a Fortis kill team and the other Deathwatch units on the tabletop, I have a new video about how to play the Deathwatch in 10th edition, and all the exploits that it includes. Have a great day, purging the alien!